Tatsuki Fujimoto is a crazy man with even crazier ideas. I haven't quite seen a man who has the same unique way of storytelling and artistic influence like him. And I'm not saying this as an exaggeration, I genuinely mean it. Or, maybe I just need to immerse myself into more media, to be honest. But yeah, I share the same opinion with several others when I say that Fujimoto is a genius in those aspects. And his influence ruined me in a way. But it's not like I regret reading his works, personally speaking, but more like after experiencing his works, there's a lot more to unpack. The simplest way I can describe it is that his works are a mix of pointlessness and meaningfulness. Because Fujimoto doesn't write stories that comfort you, he writes stories that sit with you in an annoying way. Kind of like that one seatmate you had back in high school that you found to be a little bit too quirky for your liking. And somehow, those same stories that left me feeling empty are also the ones that help me understand reality a bit better. Once you graduate from high school, years down the line, you remember that one seatmate you had and realize just how simpler and unique those times were. Because you were there to see it, it's an odd experience you yourself had the pleasure and misfortune of experiencing. And that simplicity leaves you reminiscing moments like that through small reminders in everyday life today. Fujimoto's works captures that same feeling almost perfectly. You see, Fujimoto has this way of telling stories that don't give you closure, at least not the kind you're used to. There's no neat resolution, no clear answer, sometimes not even a proper ending. And at first, it's frustrating. You finish one of his works and just sit there thinking, that's it? But the more you think about it, the more that emptiness starts to grow on you. It's not just confusion, it's something heavier. It's the feeling that maybe not everything is meant to be resolved by someone else or doesn't need to be resolved at all. And that realization, that's what stuck with me because in real life, things don't always make sense. People leave, moments end, and sometimes you never really get the closure you wanted. Fujimoto captures that feeling perfectly, and honestly, it messes with me in so many ways, but it's also helped me understand those situations in a more light-hearted manner. Some of his works plays with reality, fiction, memory to the point where you don't even know what actually happened anymore. It just leaves you guessing. And those endings, they don't tell you what's real, they don't explain themselves, they just end. At first, it feels incomplete, like something is missing, but I think that's exactly the point. Let's take Goodbye Eri as an example. Grief doesn't come with clear answers, memories aren't perfectly reliable, and the people we lose, they don't leave behind explanations. Fujimoto forces you to sit with that uncertainty. And in a strange way, that makes the story feel more real than anything else. Let's take another one of his most popular works, for example, like Look Back. A story that feels simple at first, two people, their passion, their growth, and then one moment changes everything. That single death shifts the entire story into something heavier, something quiet. It leaves behind the sense of hopelessness, but at the same time, it makes you realize how meaningful those memories before were. All the small things, all the shared time. They don't disappear just because something bad happened, and I think that's what Fujimoto is trying to say. The world is absurd, bad things happen without reason, but that doesn't erase the good that came before it. We just carry on, and it's up to us to interpret where it goes from here. And then there's Chainsaw Man, probably his most well known work. And honestly, it's not perfect. The ending with how heavily rushed was brushed off a lot of people. It was messy, even frustrating, but weirdly enough, that imperfection is what makes it so human. Because life doesn't build up to perfect conclusions, sometimes things just happen, quickly, abruptly, and all you're left with is a glimpse of what it meant, not a full explanation, just a feeling. And that feeling stays with you. Those works made me uncomfortable with how open ended things can be, how unresolved life really is, but at the same time, they saved me because they helped me accept that reality. Fujimoto's writing is bitter, absurd, sometimes even hopeless, but it's honest. It reflects a world where things don't always go your way, where meaning isn't handed to you. You just have to find it yourself, and maybe that's why his endings are the way they are. Because they leave us readers guessing, and While that can be frustrating for some people, it's okay. You're not fed his works to expect something fulfilling in the end, at least not in the first read. You could end up hating it over and over, and it nags your head in a lot of ways. It's illogical sometimes, but in the midst of that, it feels real, and you start realizing that pointlessness shouldn't have to change how we readers interpret his stories as a whole, and how pointlessness shouldn't have to get in the way in how we see life as it is. And we were there to see it all. The characters may have forgotten, but we haven't. His stories are there to impact us. He doesn't care how you feel about seeing your favorite character in his work deal with grief, suffering, and a loss of character. He spoon feeds you the absurdity of it, just like how unreasonable things happen in real life, and it's up to us how we feel about it. Fujimoto doesn't tell you how you should feel about it. He doesn't tell you what things mean. He just shows you a moment raw, imperfect, and real, and leaves the rest up to you. And yeah, that can feel empty, but maybe that emptiness isn't a bad thing. Maybe it's just space for you to think, to feel, to interpret. Because in the end, not everything needs a clear answer. And maybe that's exactly what makes it meaningful. I think that's where Fujimoto really stands out. It's not just that his stories are sad, it's that they don't try to comfort you after. There's no reassurance, no clear message telling you everything will be okay. Instead, he just shows you something incomplete, something messy, something unresolved, and then he just leaves you with it. Because that's what reality feels like sometimes. Not everything has a reason, not everything gets closure. Sometimes things just happen and you're left to deal with it. And I think that's why his stories feel so personal, because they don't lie to you. That nagging feeling of emptiness I felt after reading his works, I used to think it was a bad thing, like something was missing. But now I realize that emptiness is intentional. It's space, space for you to think, space for you to interpret, space for you to feel something that isn't being told to you. Fujimoto doesn't give you answers because real life doesn't either. And somehow that's what saved me, because instead of expecting life to make sense, I started accepting that it doesn't have to. That things can be unfair, random, even meaningless, and still be real, and still be worth experiencing. Fujimoto didn't teach me how to find meaning. He taught me that meaning is something you create yourself. And that's how Fujimoto ruined and saved me in a way.